fast forward, any come our channel so up, AG politics away. Podcast was the trend and make headlines. And at agent right now, ADB Aksomo, or any dimia rack sima, best shock say young political how we see now. Message say OSP, I say, and at the when he H.2 and ABA. Not lawyer, Kofi Bentel, and at Menoka say, what me at church and I bring H.2 OSP, and as I'm going to up. No, church say, what now? Awe, Emma, key prosecutors, or my yes, or prosecute woman, and already bonnet. I will move among flow my muco. Now let's see our lawyer Martin people. But we have no jurisdiction to get him arrested. You have zero jurisdiction to arrest lawyer Martin people. Now at this point in time, no, can send be free. Now, Mr. Say, Mungra, as well. Now, you're ready for any day, Abra, Wajamre, or join news for us. Chancellor say, I'll see AG politics. Young coincidence.
That preliminary investigations had not started. And it doesn't mean that at the time of preliminary investigation, you discovered an Esakori. You have no idea when we were able to pin a lot of people.
Okay.
So
he raised these issues on a question of trust.
I understand.
And these issues are not exactly the subject for which I asked the question. So let me come to Kofi Bento. Kofi, I said that, please hold on. You have spoken for quite a while, but I understand you had already told me that, Martin has spoken for too long, but you are here on a panel. Now, again, I asked that question I asked to Manasseh. Let's go back to the story we want to talk about today. Whose report do you believe? Why and why not?
I believe Martin. It does not even mean he's right in everything he's done. But I think he is within his rights. Those two things are different. He may not be right. He may ultimately be proven not to be right in the things he's done. But he is within his rights. And the OSP, as a public office, is not conducting themselves, at least to the standard that we expect, for instance. Let me just take what has just happened. You see, Manasseh says something. He says, you said at a point you couldn't stop these people because you were not giving help. That's one.
It's not true.
I beg you, let me finish. You couldn't stop them. You didn't get help.
We
then
never
you
said
oh, Master, let me
No, I'm just saying that we never said that.
I make my notes, make your notes. Then you say at a point that you couldn't also have stopped them because they were not persons of interest. Because you, please, when
that's in respect of Esakori.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sammy,
relax, please.
You lost me, even sitting here trying to follow you. So I think the public, you lost it. So you hear our little minds and correct us. OSP, you have a major case like this. The heart of Martin's problem is that you sat down for these people to leave, and for a year you were talking. I came onto this program to say they have not even been charged. We all have our issues. Then you say you couldn't stop them because at the time you hadn't started your investigations and you hadn't determined who were persons of interest. And Manasseh is telling you that we did work before you started and we named people and said things. In other words, you could have even looked at our work and had some idea of who to deal with. So if something you ask me, who do I believe? There are so many lapses and little flaws, and nobody is asking for anybody to be perfect. Okay, this morning, I'm batting for the OSP and saying we should not abolish the office. If even people make mistakes, we need the OSP. But you see, let's admit when mistakes have been made. And then let's see what to do to make them better. But to say that you couldn't have done anything about it, and then the same person comes and says that, oh, we tried to do something about it, but we were not helped, you don't make your work credible enough for us to believe. So the short answer to your question is, I believe Martin. I also believe Martin because of some of the other things that we're going to see, because the OSP's conduct is unbecoming. I think they're acting a bit lawlessly beyond their jurisdiction, and I think they are spending their energies on the wrong things. So look, I believe Martin, again, because he is within his rights.
Okay. On that specific
even if it's
issue,
not right.
On that specific issue, why? What is the problem? There are two sides to every story.
Even three.
Okay, there could be a third. So you have heard Martin.
Did he even listen?
And when I went to interview him, this was one of the difficulties I had to express to him, because you are interviewing a friend. And then you are speaking to someone else that you also know on the other side. And they are both telling you different situations. Why, like I asked Martin, why are you quick to believe one story and disbelieve the other story?
So the premise that we are quick to believe one story and not the other is not true. So I don't agree that. Like you said, we are friends. We have a certain level of trust for each other, and we also have more information than ordinarily. So it's not like I believe Sammy or I believe Martin or whatever. The thing is, there are facts in front of us. Okay, Samson, I was on this program, and I made points that, look, I don't know why the OSP is not prosecuting Ken Ofori-Atta. And I put caveats before that to say, Ken is my mentor, my friend, and I took a lot of heat for it. And I was saying that I don't understand, given the information I have based in law, which I explained, that they could have gone ahead. Martin comes inside and says that, you two, given the information he has and all the things that are available to him, what he knows you know and other things, how could you sit for this person to also go? Manasseh also comes and says that, yes, even if you didn't know, we told you ahead of time. So we have pieces of information. We wait, and these things didn't happen now. They happened years ago.
Back to the Thursday altercation. Back to the Thursday altercation.
That's shifting me forward.
No, I'm keeping you focused.
Okay.
Back to the Thursday altercation. Has anybody shown you empirical evidence to make you believe one against the other?
Yes. Yes. And let me disclose, I'm on Martin's legal team. I was on phone with him. Okay. So I have that information. Has anybody shown me anything? Yes. And I have also found out other things. On Thursday's issue that happened, for instance, number one, I have said, and I repeat, the OSP had zero jurisdiction to arrest Martin Kpebu. None. If you look at the OSP law, it is a limited institution.
Again, you're going to the law rather than...
No. I'm explaining. Let me explain. Has anybody shown me anything? I'm saying I have spoken to Martin, who has given me the narration that he's giving everybody. I was on the phone. I was supposed to be with him that day. He said he would go with only a few people. I said, fine. I was backing.
So is the narration without more?
The narration, there is more. There is the
Tell
narration.
us about the more.
The more is that Martin didn't do anything to obstruct the OSP.
No, that's narration. What is there more? Supposing you were a judge sitting in your court, and then Martin came to tell you that story, that the person called me stupid, and I replied back. And then a witness says, I was there, I saw everything. Martin was the one who had used F words, blah, 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 and then he was prevailed on to stop. It was not the officers who rather did this. As a judge,
as
what balance will you do?
As a judge, you have facts and you have law. Facts are that there was a verbal altercation, and then you have law. What does that mean in law? How did the verbal altercation come about? Martin goes in and parks his car, and then goes outside because there were journalists calling for him, and he goes and speaks to them. In the course of speaking, he even moved them beyond the point, trying to clear the space for the OSP. In other words, avoid trouble with the OSP. He finishes and walks back into the space. When he walks back into the space, he's accosted by an officer working under the OSP, telling him that, what right do you have?
Accosted?
Yes.
As you have been told?
As I've been told, of course. I said I wasn't there, I was on the phone.
Thank you.
Yes. So he's asked, what right do you have to come and park your car here and go and give an interview outside? Next time you come, we'll allow you to do those things. And Martin's like, what right do you have to tell me that I can't park my car and go and give an interview? After all, you invited me to come and help you. I am not under investigation, and I can't have the interview here, all right? So I just parked my car to come and give you the information you are looking for. But I had to just speak to these people, and I went outside and even shifted beyond.
So my question is, what is your basis of believing that narration against the other narration that says all the officers did was to caution and say, please, we don't do this, don't do it here again. And that they didn't insult, they didn't do anything, but it was rather Martin who held insult at them. How come you believe one against the other?
Even your witness said there was a verbal altercation and that it was Martin who started it. So it is, Martin said they started it. They said Martin started. Now, just listen to this if you were a judge. why will Martin walking back into the OSP start a verbal altercation? It is a matter of fact, clear and not controversial, that it is the other party who spoke to Martin first and said, why did you go and give an interview? That's where it all started. Why did you go and give an interview? We can agree on that, right? And Martin's like, why should you ask me why I should go and give an interview? You can't curtail my right to give an interview. That's where it started. So if I'm a judge, looking at the facts, I'll say, given this fact, it is Martin who was provoked. Because walking out to give an interview and walking back in, on video you could see him walk back alone, was not a provocation nor an obstruction of the OSP's work. But the gentleman accosted him and said, why did you go and give an interview? What makes him think he has a right to tell the citizen when to talk and when not to talk?
Do you think the officers will ask him, why did you go out and give an interview?
Well, yes, that's what they asked him.
You think they will do so?
Yes, that's what they asked him. I don't think they should do so. And that is where I think the OSP should properly educate their frontline people. But one, I have no reason not to believe Martin. And two, all the narrations have not, controverted that fact that it is he who asked. As to who started the insult.
There's a narration that has controverted, except that you don't want to take that.
No. I'm saying something, and I'm saying here, let's conclude. When Martin returned into the OSP, he was questioned first. He didn't question. It stands to reason. He didn't go back and say, hey, I'm going to give an interview. When he entered, he was accosted and said, why did you go and give an interview? That stands to reason.
Okay, let me come to Inusa here. Vicky is on the line with us too as well. So, sorry, if it is limiting, because I just want us to focus. We want to deal with this aspect briefly and then move on to the call from Parliament. And we'll hear the Speaker and all the others for their office to be scrapped. And that's up here, all of you here don't like that idea. But before we get to this aspect of it, of the altercation that led to the arrest, and Kofi Bento will make the point that they completely don't have the power to do what they did. Sammy mentions something. Are you worried? As a lawyer, I've thought about it, that Manasseh is the guy, together with his two other colleagues at the Fourth Estate, who do the investigation and blow the whistle on this issue. And they have some evidences they have to use to support, and a petition is presented. What it means is that they are likely to be among the primary witnesses to help the state to nail the quote-unquote those who have been accused. If they are fighting publicly about accuracy of figures and things, how does that impinge on the potential trial?
Not even the trial, the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are still investigating the matter. Even though they've charged some persons.
8 people.
8 people. The investigation is still continuing. And investigations don't close even after conviction. Because if they come into new evidence, they can reopen. So that is why investigative journalists and people who have invested in uncovering corruption in a country have to at all times be prepared to cooperate.
And also be given deference.
With the investigative institutions or with the institutions, state institutions that have been set up to deal with the matters in which they have invested. They need to be that collaboration. In fact, in some jurisdictions, these investigative journalists need not tell you that they have sent their report or what they have uncovered to the state agency. Because they are also interested in protecting themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so, there are many, because...
That's why we have the Witness Protection Act.
Witness Protection Act is when even that investigator is prepared to come forward as a witness. And there's fear that harm can come to him. So he comes under the Witness Protection Act.
I have led Manasseh to the court before on criminal issues, and I know how sometimes we have to get a judge to agree to smuggle him through a process because you definitely become a target. And these stories, they end up collapsing, big enterprises, but the investigative journalists who did the story should not sit idly by when the prosecutor is doing things that they suspect will botch the trial.
Exactly. Yes, I agree entirely with you. That's why he's invested the time and effort.
Yes.
It is not the institution that gave him money to embark on the investigation in the first place. So he's a public-spirited person who thinks that he must help the state in a way as to ensure that we don't dissipate our resources in ways that don't bring us benefit. So he invested his private resources. So the least state agencies can do is to collaborate with them. I agree with you.
And give them deference.
I agree. And even the exposing himself to that level of danger and risk requires that anybody working with an investigative journalist must accord him to a level of deference and appreciation for his work. So I have no problem with Manasseh. I think that the approach of the special prosecutor should be that these are partners.
Yes.
These are collaborators. These are persons we necessarily have to work with. In fact, these are stakeholders.
That's what the OSP has been doing.
No, you
understand. So that is the way they should approach the issue. And it's a stakeholder. First, they are citizens of this country. So they have a general interest in ensuring that this country is run well and that people do not fleece the resources of this country. Two, they have a specific interest because they have been trained. And when they see corruption, they want to fight it. Okay? Yeah. And so you must accord them that kind of recognition. You must cooperate with them.
Kofi says deference.
Deference.
That's a high level of respect.
Respect. So that they can, because many things go. Can you imagine, sometimes we come into evidence of some impropriety. But you ask yourself whether you can boldly claim to be the person who is making that information available. Sometimes, so it requires courage, conviction, and purposefulness to be able to openly admit that I'm the person who has done this.
And even a wide latitude for mistake. Because you are not God. You are investigating and you see in part. So you see, it's very sad that you have people like Manasseh who put themselves physically at
in harm's way.
And then you end up arguing with them.
You don't have to argue with them.
No.
Okay. So they can argue privately, but not
privately.
Yes. Why do you think they are arguing publicly?
Because the private arguments have broken down. And I think there's a difference there.
No, they're arguing privately because...
Let me just add.
No, they're arguing privately because there appear to be some fight for theft and recognition.
Thank you.
That's why they are arguing publicly.
Fight for theft and
recognition. Who is the person who uncovered this thing?
I disagree.
No. In fact, at the root of the whole thing, even the discussion...
When the SP did the report, he acknowledged the three journalists. Yes. Manasseh, Addo, and...
So he acknowledged them, but he didn't acknowledge them in a way that satisfied the journalists.
Oh, you think that's what the...
Yeah, I think that's...
Just a quick one.
Okay, hold on. Manasseh is right here.
No, okay.
Manasseh.
I don't think...
I'm not denying you. He's put his hand up many times. No, hold on.
It's okay.
Manasseh,
fear and
is lack of proper recognition a problem for you and your colleagues over this matter?
And the entire country knows how this story came about. I don't think I'll need anybody to recognize me. The OSP did the recognition, and I even quoted it on my Facebook. I granted interviews and praised the OSP for the work done on this SML thing. The beginning of the fight is that I was pained when I heard Kissie Jabin say certain things that were not true. So, and it had nothing to do with the story we did. It was about he and the office being powerless. So I spoke to all the security agencies, including immigration, and put the information out. If there's any suggestion of theft, the man sitting in your studio responded and said that, look, even your petition, your story didn't link Ken Ofori. It is our investigation that identified Ken Ofori as a key figure. It is our investigation that identified 2.7 billion You just said 100 million. So that is where this argument went public. And before it went public, I engaged Kisie Jabin. And if Sami Dakun would remember, before I published or we published the SML investigation, I called him that this is what we are coming up with because I recognize collaboration. So he put me, I was at Harvard at the time, and I remember exactly where I was before I made that call. He, myself, and Kisie Jabin said, look, we are about to publish it. We'll come to you, but I know we need to work together. So these are the things I want you to know. I would never give that, when I'm publishing a story, I don't tell anybody, even at Joy when I was there. Sometimes it was only between me and the editor, but I opened up to them. During the investigation, when I was home, I would go to the OSP in the evening. There were times I met the investigation team and the director of prosecution, and we all discussed. I gave them views. So it has never been the case of a turf war. Okay. If there's anything, it is someone who is sitting in your studio saying that I am glory hunting. And he made a similar comment this morning.
All right.
So
Manasseh, thanks for the clarity. Thank you very much. Now hold it there. And then I come to you, Sami. And as Manasseh is referring to, let's not also forget that the OSP's own regulation.
We ain't some how to channel, so I'm not so Jim or Senator Body and Yadumbi Adumania. And Sangrib, not Yensumu Yipa.